maybe if they don't know where our class is, maybe they don't know where about, maybe they don't know where the canteen is, stuff like that. Kindly, let's just assist them. They are our brothers and sisters, and in case you have a bad habit, don't transfer that habit to them. Sawa sawa. And I know, because you know I know your profiles. If you go and play pool, just play pool, and that's it. You go, because I know that place where you go and play pool. I am privy to so many things which happen there. I'm not saying that you do, but please, Ryan, Rose, I'm very happy that you are a former CU chairman. So at least there's some grace that has covered you. Jimmy as well, right? You know, please, let's be very careful. Anyway, I want us to pick up from where we had left last week. One thing about English for journalists and writers, let me try to demystify or debunk something that I've had here. That when you study in communication, media generally, first of all, we have so many areas of specialization when it comes to communication. Mass communication is one of them. Mass communication actually entails anything to do with radio and TV. Then we have what we call public relations. We have what we call print media. We have what we call corporate communication, where actually you can work in so many places, such as the non-governmental organization. You can work in ministries. You can work in organization as communication consultant. You can work as managers of different companies as communication expert. So you don't have to work in media, as Rachel is saying. But again, also in media, there is one reason why I know Rachel is saying it is not for the faint-hearted. Because if you are a reporter like Rosemary, you must go to the field and collect the information. Now, if you afford to be lazy, then you have no business being in a reporter. I have heard there are people who want to be directors here. When you go and get a program director on TV, you are not going to like it, because directors are normally very tough. They will demand that if this program has to be aired at 10, that particular program must be done and dusted by 9. You have previewed, you have watched and rewatched. You have removed errors. I hate during our production weeks, when I come on a Thursday, I ask for the projects. Somebody is telling me, you know, Malimu, my Adobe Premiere Pro is crashing. Then I ask myself, really, are we going to premiere this project? I have edited using a very unscrupulous software. Now the computer has disappeared with everything. Are you going to tell that one to a program manager who has scheduled already the program on TV? You're not going to do that. So whenever we start our production week, there are people who will say, Monday in pre-production. Monday, depending on where it will be, Sunday evening, Monday, nitajipatia off. Nitaanza kuulizia, group yetu Tuesday tumepanga aje, Wednesday. Alafu tuko napatana pale kwa ofisi. Mwalimu, hii shule haina cameras mingi. Na wewe, watu walibook cameras kitambo, where were you? Because you are suffering from serious hangovers over the weekend. So please, if and hangover does not mean, by the way, you went out and all that, even maybe you were watching the series that Frederick is talking until 10 in the morning. So, I mean, so English for journalists and writers, it's actually going to sound like more of an English class. That's why, if you remember last class, we started discussing about different categories of languages. We defined what is the study of language. We defined linguistics. Then we went ahead to define what we call the morphology, right? Then we went ahead and defined what we call phonology. And it's very important that you remember all that. Semantics, the study of words to form meaning and all that. So please, those students who are not here, please borrow from your friends the notes that we studied. And I want us to proceed, because like I said, it is going to sound like the name English for journalists and writers. You're going to be required to understand the English grammar very well. And I remember last class I told you to list the 8 parts of speech. Some of you were able to list up to, I think it's Frederick who was able to list up to 7, right? Most of us are doing 6 and all that. Please, make sure that you remember them. So I want us to now focus on those 8 parts of speech. The 8 parts of speech. And why it is important that you understand these things. For example, when we talk about an obvious one, about a noun, right? Because when you are writing, because you are going to be writing, when you are writing, there are people who, for example, when you are writing about the president, for example, how do you write the president? How do you write something about the president? Let's say, for example, what is the latest information about the president we can write about? Yes?
Which country?
Oh, okay. Very, yeah, I like that. The President of the Republic of Kenya. What? Be careful. So, what is the latest thing about the president that we can write about? He was in Kakamega, isn't it? We want to highlight something about what he did there. What did he do, or what did he say? He was trying to talk down the people who are against his presidency. So, I want us to write a sentence, and there's a reason why, because I want to build on something. So, the President of the Republic of Kenya, how do we write it? His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Now, there are people who write President Ruto, right? President. All these things, you are going to find them. And when you go and find serious editors, they will have serious concerns with the second sentence and the third sentence, simply because of what we call salutation. You are supposed to address them based on their academic qualification. If somebody has studied up to doctorate level, that person must always be referred to as a doctor. It is as simple as that. When you are writing professionally and you don't acknowledge that that person is a doctor, they normally take offense. And not because that they are bragging, it is the right thing to do. First of all, studying up to doctorate is not easy. That's number one. But also professionally, it is always advised that you acknowledge them that with their title. So, His Excellency, who do we write about His Excellency? Or rather, what does the title His Excellency insinuate or imply? Inamaanishanga nini? When you are writing about His Excellency.
Held in high esteem.
Held in high esteem, correct. But the rank? His Excellency, this title is normally given to head of governments. Head of governments. Why don't we say His Excellency Oscar Sudi, for example? Right? The reason why we don't say that is because, number one, Oscar Sudi is not head of any government. So His Excellency is actually given to presidents and governors. Presidents and governors. So if you're writing a story about a governor, make sure to include His Excellency Governor Johnson Sakaja. His Excellency Governor, who is your governor? Put your governor there. His Excellency Governor so and so. So please, these are what we call, which noun is this one? Which noun is that one? Which noun is that one? The one that I've underlined. William Samoei Ruto. Which noun is that one? Eh? Proper noun. It's a noun. I know it is a noun, right? And that's why now I want us to delve in deeper into what is your understanding about a noun, right? Correct. So I was asking, what type of a noun is this one? It's proper noun. So let's write something about nouns, because this is very important, especially when it comes to writing. When it comes to writing. When it comes to writing. So nouns are words that represent people. Nouns are words that represent people, places, things, or ideas. Nouns are words that represent people, places, things, or ideas. Nouns are words that represent people, places, or ideas. Nouns are words that represent people, places, or ideas. And I want us to discuss about the types. This is very important. The types of these particular nouns that we know. The first one is what we call common nouns. Common nouns. Common nouns. What are common nouns? These are general names for people, places, things, or ideas. These are general names. Common nouns. Common nouns. These are general names for people, places, things, or ideas. For example, a common noun is what we can define as a teacher, for example. Teacher. A teacher. A city. etc. And I want you to take note how I've written the teacher, how I've written the city. They are not capitalized. So when you are writing and you capitalize teacher, then it is wrong. So you can only capitalize teacher when? Correct. When you are starting a sentence. So these are very small things, but they are very important things when it comes to writers. So the second one is what we call proper nouns. Proper nouns. These are specific names for particular people, places, or things. And the important word there is specific. Specific. These are specific names for particular people, places, or things. These are specific names for particular people, places, or things. They are always capitalized. They are always capitalized. They are always capitalized. So these are names of individuals, like your name, for example. You don't start your name with a small letter. And you don't, even at the middle of any sentence, write name of a person or a city in small letters. The third one, these are things that you know, we are just doing a brush. Concrete nouns. What is the understanding around concrete nouns? These are names, concrete nouns, concrete nouns, concrete nouns. These are names of tangible physical objects that can be perceived through the senses. These are names of tangible physical objects. Tangible physical objects. Tangible physical objects that can be perceived through the senses. So of importance is tangible. These are physical and they can be perceived through the senses. So the better question is, I would want to know whether people understand about senses. Which are the basic human senses? The first one? Sight, very correct. The second one? Smell, right? The third one? Tunaweza fika mpaka mbili. So we have, the first one we have said sight, smell, taste, touch, ability to hear. We normally have 5 senses, isn't it? There is another one known as common sense, but it is not categorized as a basic form of sense, right? So this, if you can perceive something through the sense, that is concrete. That's why when you hear somebody telling you, I want concrete evidence as to whether you are abducted or not, it means that somebody must submit evidence of you being forced in a car and being blindfolded and held in communicado. So concrete nouns, they are the ones that we can perceive or touch. For example, a table, or a dog, or a car. Those are concrete nouns. There's what we call abstract nouns. Abstract nouns. Abstract nouns. These are nouns that these are names of intangible concepts. Names of intangible concepts, feelings, or ideas. These are names of intangible concepts, feelings, or ideas. These are names of intangible concepts, feelings, or ideas. So you could say that abstract nouns is the opposite of concrete nouns. So when you talk about, for example, beauty, right? When you talk about, for example, knowledge, happiness, freedom, can you touch beauty? Yes, we know, for example, Lula is beautiful or Rosemary is beautiful, but can you touch the beauty? You can't, isn't it? You can only but imagine or, you know, it's not something that is physical. But there are some people who have other conspiracy theories. Please, those are not professionals. You do want to explore using your hands to explore the beauty. That's not the way, how it works. Beauty is an abstract noun or a feeling. Like, for example, love. Is love a feeling or is... Love is a... What is love? Can we categorize love as an abstract noun? Yes? Unaweza shika upendo, unasikia hapa na... You can't. It's just like an inside feeling. Love is caring, love is giving, love is so. Love is blind, isn't it? Right. Then we have what we call collective nouns. Collective nouns. So these are nouns that refer to a group of people or things as a single unit. This refers to a group of people or things as a single unit. For example, a team, family, committee, flock. So those are collective. Right? It's like a group of things put together. These are simple things I'm sure we can be able to remember without much hiccups. So we have what we call compound nouns. Compound nouns. These are nouns formed by combining two or more words These are nouns formed by combining two or more words. These are nouns combined by combining two or more words. For example, which one? Just some of the compound nouns that you know.
Compound eyes.
Compound eyes, correct. Because this is one word.
Timetable.
Correct. Timetable. Ice cream. What else? Yes? Class teacher. Let's talk about functions of nouns. And maybe I am interested to know whether you know functions of noun. Because I'm sure you have been knowing these types of nouns. What are some of the functions of noun? Right? Those of us who have finished high school this year can remember. When was your exam, Rosemary? 2020, last year, sorry. Last year. By the way, even if you finished your exam in 1985, you must be remembering some of these things. Yeah? You can't tell me I forgot about some of these things. What are some of the functions of noun? It is something that we know. Can we explain? Yes? Functions of noun? Number one, subject. Subject. This is the person, place, or the person. So noun acts as the subject. So under subject we say, the person, place, thing, or idea that performs the action in a sentence. The person, place, thing, or idea that performs the action in a sentence. Noun performs the function of subject. For example, can you construct a sentence to depict function of a noun as the subject? For example, the teacher arrived at the scene later. So the teacher, this is the noun, performing which subject, which action? Arriving, right? That is as simple as that. So that's the first function. The second function of a noun, performs the function of object. So the first one is subject. The second one is object. Object. And under object, we say that the person, place, thing, or idea that receives the action of the verb. The person, place, thing, or idea that receives the action of the verb. The person, place, thing, or idea that receives the action of the verb. Some of these things you may be wondering, why are we actually studying them? But when you will start writing, you will be able to appreciate them. For example, she read the book. So the book performs the function of the object as the person, as the thing that has or object that received the action of the verb. She read the book. So those are some of the major functions of nouns, performing the subject and object functions. And there are so many functions, so please go and find out. I want us to go to pronouns because we must discuss all these 8 parts of speech. Pronouns. What are pronouns? These are words that replace nouns to avoid repetition. These are words that replace nouns to avoid repetition. These are words that replace nouns to avoid repetition. The types are, number one, personal pronouns. Personal pronouns. Personal pronouns. For example, he, she, it. He, she, it. Those are personal pronouns. Personal pronouns. The second one is what we call possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns. For example, his, has, their, or their, depending on your school, whether you went to group of schools or not public are bad, but you know English depends on the teacher, the person who told you pronunciation. Reflexive pronouns. Reflexive pronouns. For example, himself, themselves, myself, etc. These are things that you know. Reflexive pronouns. Another type is what we call relative pronouns. Relative pronouns. Relative pronouns. Whom, whose, which, who. Those are relative pronouns. Then last but not the least, we have what we call indefinite pronouns. Indefinite pronouns. These are anyone, someone, anything, something, anybody, somebody. Those are indefinite pronouns. Indefinite pronouns. So that's about pronouns. They replace the nouns. In the place of, if you're writing, for example, Roy woke up in the morning. Full stop. You don't continue and say, Roy went to the bathroom. He proceeded, for example, right? You don't repeat Roy. So he has replaced Roy, isn't it? As simple as that. Let's talk about adverbs and verbs. Adverbs and verbs. So what are verbs, right? It's very important. What are verbs? When somebody talks about a verb, what actually do they mean? So a verb, these are action words that tell what the subject is doing. Verb is an action word. These are action words that tell what the subject is doing. Then we have what we call adverbs. So adverbs, they modify verbs. They modify verbs. Adjectives, they modify verbs. Adjectives and other verbs. Another important thing about adverbs you should note is that they often tell how, when, where, or to what extent something is done. They often tell how, when, where, or to what extent something is done. They often tell how, when, where, or to what extent something is done. For example, Zipporah opened the door quickly. So quickly is now what we call the adverb. Quickly is the adverb. Adjectives. Adjectives. These are words that describe or modify nouns and pronouns. They modify nouns and pronouns. They provide more information about the noun or pronoun. They provide more information about the noun or pronoun. They provide more information about the noun or pronoun. Prepositions. Prepositions is the other part of speech. Preposition. They show the relationship between a noun or pronoun and other parts of the sentence. A preposition, they show the relationship between a noun or pronoun and other parts of the sentence. For example, in, on, under, before, after, into, onto, to. Those are prepositions, and we say that they show the relationship between a noun or pronoun and other parts of the sentence. Last but not the least is what we call the conjunctions and interjections. Conjunctions and the interjections. Conjunctions and interjections. These are words, they join phrases or clauses. Those are conjunctions now. Conjunctions, they join words, phrases, or clauses. Conjunctions, they join words, phrases, or clauses. They join words, phrases, or clauses. They can be coordinating. They can be coordinating, correlative conjunctions. They can be coordinating or correlative conjunctions. For example, when you talk about correlative conjunction, they can be coordinating or correlative. When you talk about a correlative conjunction, either, neither, right? Not only, but also, both. That is what we call a correlative conjunction. A coordinating conjunction, and, but, yet, so. Those are now what we call the coordinating conjunctions. Interjections, last but not the least. Interjections. These are words that express sudden emotions. Interjections are words that express sudden emotions or reaction. Interjections are words that express sudden emotions or reactions. They are often followed by an exclamation mark. This is very important. They are often followed by an exclamation mark. They are often followed by an exclamation mark. So what are some of, for example, what are some of the interjections that you know? Interjections. I believe that we know what is an exclamation mark. Who genuinely does not know what an exclamation mark looks like? So in case you don't know, this is the exclamation mark, isn't it? So what are some of the interjections that we know, and then do we actually understand their meaning?
Alas.
Huh?
Alas.
Alas. Alas. What does alas imply? Atiaire. Alas inamaanisha nini? This surprise. Uh-huh. Another interjection that we know? Huh? Atiala? Is that one? We are not talking about memes. We are talking about exclamation. Yeah? Which one? Allah ile ya atoli ama mnasema gani? Oh. This one? No. How is it spelled? Double A. Allah. This one, the one for atoli is not an interjection. We can agree because interjections actually are they are in the dictionary, right? You can't, for example, hure, right? Oops. What does oops say? Oops. What is the meaning of oops? My bad. My bad. Is it an exclamation or is the definition of oops? Ouch. Wow. Una? So please differentiate this from the memes, because there is a thin line between this one and the memes. You will find that there are some people who will confuse interjections to what we have been treated to in the world of, especially Nigerians. They seem to keep on giving us interjections every now and then. I want us briefly, so please make sure that you understand those particular parts of speech and their meaning. When actually do we use interjections? Right? Do we start a sentence with an interjection, for example? Is it possible? Are there scenarios where we start a sentence with an interjection? Like which one, for example? Ure. We won the game. Can we start a sentence with a conjunction?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Like which one?
Conjunction.
And the Spirit of the Lord. I think Steve, Anyway. So I want us to talk briefly, before we finish the class, talk about homophones. Now, so we have talked about the parts of speech. And please just know that you will be able to apply this when you are writing your sentences. When do you capitalize? When do you use an interjection? When do you use first of all, I have problems with prepositions. I have a problem. Were you studying in or you are studying at? Were you studying in or you are studying Art. When you say you are studying, I want us to try to see people whether they understand what is the meaning of these prepositions. Sometimes we so often use, and sometimes we may be using them wrongly. When you say you are studying in and you're studying art, what do you mean? Yes, Jimmy. So I want us now to paraphrase what Jimmy has said in English. I understand. I expected that kind of an explanation. You actually know the explanation in your mind, isn't it? But I want us, you are in a communication conference, and people are discussing about this particular scenario. And you're confidently, can somebody talk to us about the difference between studying in and studying art? And then we have Mark from Mahanaim Prestigious College. Could you please go ahead and explain? Studying art in inamaanisha hapo ndani, sasa hapo ndani. But studying art ni wapi? Then people are like, I mean, okay, we can understand what you are trying to say, but can you paraphrase? When you say studying in and art, what do you mean? I agree with you, Jimmy. I just want to find somebody who can paraphrase it.
Studying in, that's right.
Yes.
So for studying in, means where the school is in. For example, I study in Nairobi at Mahanaim College. So you see, the art imekuja in Nairobi. Studied in Nairobi at Mahanaim College. So Nairobi it's ni kubwa. So Mahanaim is far.
So I have I am also trying. I feel what you are trying to tell me, and I'm not saying by the way you are not right. The problem is actually framing some of these things, because you understand. Because if you have to be honest with ourselves, simple definition: art depicts place, and this one depicts position, right? If you're in a class, then you're inside that class, but the class is at Mahanaim College, isn't it? It is as simple as... So please, when you're writing some of these things, make sure that you use the right preposition, right? Jesus walked on. So Jesus, right? Jesus walked on. Jesus walked in. Jesus walked over, correct. Jesus walked above. So we are talking about water now. So which one is correct? Yes? Except? What are you trying to say? Sasa nataka basi, kwa sababu naona Kiingereza kinatuchanganya, basi tusome Kiingereza kutumia lugha ya Kiswahili. Sawa sawa? Basi tuanze. Yesu alitembea. Yesu alitembea. Yesu alitembea ndani ya maji. Yesu alitembea. Yesu alitembea. Yesu alivuka maji. Yesu alipepea. Yesu alipepea. So, hakuna bali alipepea. So, the correct statement according to grammar, is Jesus walked on water. Because when you say Jesus alitembea in water, it means aliingia hapo ndani ya maji na akatembea sasa akiwa hapo ndani ya maji. Some of these things you may find yourself arguing so much. Kupepea ni fine. I want us to talk about homophones. Homophones. But it's homonyms, sorry, homonyms. 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 These are words that have the same spelling and stroke or pronunciation. They have the same spelling and stroke or pronunciation, but different meanings. They have the same spelling or same pronunciation, but they have different meanings. For example, when you talk about these are homonyms. So can we try to spell? So as you can see, the spelling is different, isn't it? Let's try to pronounce them. So the first one is flower. And the second one is flower. So there's a time I used to struggle with this one, isn't it? Because how is this one flower, right? So imagine you've sent your so-called girlfriend, can you go and buy flour for dinner? Amezunguka. Ajajua, flour is actually flour. Because there are people who call it flour. So if you are among those people who call it flour, then you are wrong. It is flower. So this is a homophone. What are some of others that we know? Same spelling or same pronunciation? So I've given them. Yes?
Spelling, same pronunciation.
Same spelling or same pronunciation, but have different meaning. Yes.
Book.
Okay, book. Book, B-O-O-K. Right? Which other book?
Yeah, book. Now the verb.
B-O-O-A. Oh, okay, I understand. So the first one is this is the noun. Now. Yeah, it is good to apply. Yes, in fact I like what Frederick is doing. But now be candid what you are saying. Kusema tangible unamaanisha nini? It's a tangible noun. Anyway, and to book is to. This is the verb. Correct. That's a good one. Remember, we are talking about same spelling or same pronunciation, but different meaning. Because when you talk about there and this one, this cannot be spelled the same, and at the same time, they cannot be pronounced the same. So depending on where, let accent not confuse you. These have different pronunciation. So we can rule out this one. Now that's where now my problem comes in. Ryan, you can at least. Okay, which one? So the first one is the spelling. H. Hour. They are pronounced the same. So where I come from, we we disparage this language. Tunaipatia radical surgery. So the first one is, so we know hour and hour, isn't it? Let's get a last pair. Rain. This one. Good. And at least we were trying to pay attention. Huh? Meat. Correct? Huh? Ear. So the first one is? Ear ya mwaka.
Yeah.
Now, can we have a discussion on this one? Is it when you pronounce ear mwaka,